Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. I got a few things to cover today, but I just basically wanted to catch everybody up and let you know where I am. I've been hunkered down in the cabin because of the winds are back again. We had a day and a half break, and now they're back up. They were um, topped out today at 31 miles per hour, but they're down to 21 now. And I decided that I was going to stay inside, so I spent all day GIing and getting my spring cleaning done in here. I started in the bathroom and scrubbed every square inch, every crevice, every little screw, you name it. I cleaned everything down completely, scrubbed it all down, and I did half the kitchen. And I'm going to be getting into this room next because the wind is supposed to be here for a while. So you see my van's down there by the greenhouse. It's on guard duty today, protecting the wind from gusting against that side of the cabin, that side of the greenhouse. The wind always seems to come from the same direction, and that van just right there, parked right there, gives it some protection because it hits the van, deflects off the high end of the roof, and then goes right on past. So it's a handy little setup right now. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is building a second greenhouse with a welded steel frame using the pipe that you would use for chain link fences and stuff. I'll set those in concrete anchors in the ground, and I'll weld them at a position where I can put in some glass panels. I'll use tempered glass panels. Hopefully, my friend John, the glass guy, will be able to get me some of those glass panels pretty soon. And then I'll know exactly how much distance I'll have. And I think I'll do the bottom 2 feet of the wall will be probably plywood or T111 or something like that, and then glass above, so that it's real sturdy and becomes a windbreak at the same time. And that should be all I need. And if it's all glass at the top side, it won't block or shade the other greenhouse too much and get rid of the opportunities I have for growing through the winter and early spring. But it's been kind of chilly out there today, especially with the wind chill factor. So, and like I said, I was in there GIing even the screws, the little slotted screws on the cover plates for the electrical outlets and switches. Cleaned with cotton swabs. I cleaned in the screw slots themselves. Everything is scrubbed down. It smells nice and fresh in here. So anyway, another thing was that remember I showed you the corn seeds I have down there. I have 4 containers of corn seeds that I planted in soil to get them started for the springtime. And it's been, it's about almost 3 weeks now that they've been in there, and there's still no sprouts sticking up. And some people will say, well, those seeds are bad, right? Well, let me show you what I did here. Right here on the table, I got my seed starting kit out. A Ziploc bag, paper towel, a little spray container with some fresh water in it from the faucet. And look, you can see the sprouts on there. So when did I put this in here? Yeah, there's a sprout there, sprouts on those 2 little ones. I put these in 4 days ago. In 4 days, I got the seeds to sprout this way, where almost 3 weeks on the other ones that are in the soil and no sign of sprouting yet. So I'll let these go a little while longer, probably sometime mid to late next week. I'll be taking these out and transferring them into pots and have them ready. Well, I'll put them in those seed starter containers with some soil and have them grow and get pretty strong. Probably they should be probably a foot and a half tall before I actually put them in the garden. So hopefully the winds and the cold weather and that stuff will be gone by that time. But we'll never know. This weather is really weird this year. Look at Texas down there getting ice storms, and uh, it just doesn't make sense. Bulls Jet, I think it was, that said that, or maybe it was somebody else. I can't remember now. What am I going to do? Anyway, the one of my viewers said that he's been there like 30 or 40 years or something like that and has never seen a deep freeze like they had. Well, my friend John the Glass Guy is down there with his wife and his son, and his son slipped on the ice and broke something, and they've been stuck down there with no heat and all that kind of stuff because the power's out. So strange happenings. All right. The last thing I wanted to cover was while I was cleaning the bathroom. You should do this twice a year, and usually I like to do it on the time change when we do the time change, but some of you in some states don't do the time change, so that won't work for you. So you might have to come up with 2 other dates that are 6 months apart that work for you. But all those little valves underneath your sinks, those are called angle stops. And those, the one behind your toilet too, those should be worked every 6 months. If you don't do that when you go to shut them off in an emergency, they may be frozen and they may just break the plastic stem and you'll have a flood. So every 6 months you should go around and turn those all off and then turn them all back on. That's all there is to it. It takes less than a minute to do. So you do the ones in the kitchen sink, the ones in the bathroom sink, and the ones in on the toilets. And if you have more than one bathroom, of course, you got to do it in each one. But good preventative maintenance, a very important thing to do preventative maintenance like that. Same thing with your GFCI receptacles. You do want to go around and hit the test button on those. They should pop, and then hit the reset button, and it should reset. You should do that twice a year at least, because you never know. If that thing goes bad, and it only takes one time for you to get electrocuted, right? All right, so I got to cover some questions that I got today in the comment section from Sun Nee. That's Sunnee. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Sun Nee or Sun Nee. So let's see. I think that's a nice play on words if it's sunny. Thank you for the sunshine. All right, so I'm going to try doing this without a microphone cover on, because I'm just going to go from the cabin to the battery room, because Sun Nee is setting up her or his battery bank and had a few questions. All right. Hey, look at that. We still got 13 volts out here. All right. So connecting the batteries. I'm not sure, you didn't say whether you were 12 volt or 24 volt. But this is how you connect the batteries for 12 volt. These are 6 volt batteries. And the way you can tell the difference is 6 volt batteries have 3 caps. Each cell has a cap, and each cell is 2 volts. You'll have the same thing on a 12 volt battery, but you'll have 6 caps, because 2 volts times 6 is 12. Okay, now if you go down like this one, you got 12 caps. Okay, that's a 24 volt battery. You usually find those in airplanes. That was given to me, and it's dead, but what I'll use it for is a core charge when I go to get some more batteries, because I do want to put at least 2 more. I'm hoping to get 4 more of these big Trojans, the L16s, because my math says if I do 4 more of those, I'll have no trouble running air conditioning all summer long, and electric heat all winter long next winter. So that'll save me some propane. Good thing. All right, so the first one was how do you connect two charge sources to one battery bank? Very, very simple. Okay, see, my battery bank runs in line here, so that's the first battery up there, and that's the last battery down there. These are an add-on bank. I have to do some rewiring on them, but it's working fine as it is. So let me just say what you want to do to connect two charge sources. Start on the last battery, and remember I'm in a 12 volt system, so I got two 6 volts wired together to make a 12 volt. So that's one battery down there. Even though it's two batteries, it's physically two 6 volts or physically one 12 volt battery. So you're going to start down there, and you're going to connect one of your charge sources to the positive on that battery. And you're going to connect the negative to the first battery, or the first set of batteries. Okay? So you got the negative up there and the positive down there. And what that does is it uses the whole battery bank for your charge source to go through. So you don't connect just to the center of the bank here and just charge one battery in the center and let it trickle out in both directions. You're actually, because your positive's down there, your negative's up here, you're turning that whole battery bank into one battery, and that's what you want to do. Now, when you want to connect your second source of charging, you're going to go opposite of that. So you'll take the negative from that battery down there and the positive from this battery up here, and you'll connect to that one. So that gives you two sources of charge going across the whole battery bank. So you won't have a weak battery in the center, and you'll equally charge the whole battery bank when you do it that way. Okay? So that handles first and second questions you had. Okay, so how do you connect the battery bank to the inverter? You do exactly the same thing. You take the positive from down there and the negative from up there, and then you put them to the back of your inverter on the positive and the negative sides. Now this is a split phase inverter, so it actually has 4 connectors back there. And I could put 2 separate battery banks on, but what I did was instead I came up with my big heavy cables, and that's the other thing. You want to make sure you use really super heavy cables, and welding cable works really well. It's a stranded fine stranded copper cable, and they really do a good job of carrying DC electric. So I have that positive here and the negative over there, and then I put jumpers from the upper to the lower, so that I have the split phase is still working. Okay, and on the jumpers that I used a little bit heavier in a 6 gauge wire to make sure that I got a good jump across those. And I'm having no troubles with the jump across there. I have 2 times 120 volts in my panel, and I have the availability for 240 volts if I need it. Okay. Next, the last question, so I can cut this video off, is how do you detect a faulty battery in the battery bank? Well, when you're doing your maintenance, and that's another thing I covered a while back, you definitely want to get one of these. These battery fillers make maintenance a really, really easier task. Because all you have to do is fill this up with distilled water, not tap water. I want distilled water. And then all you do is press that unit down into the cells one at a time, and you'll feel this thing gurgle. Dook, 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 dook. When it stops when you don't feel that gurgle anymore, it's filled to the proper level. So you can't miss with one of these. Make sure you go to your automotive store and pick one of these up. You can get them at Walmart and places like that. And I think even Home Depot's starting to carry automotive stuff. So you can get them at all different kinds of different places. But get yourself one of these, okay? And this thing holds like a half a gallon at a time, so it makes it easier. You don't have to keep filling it up. That one's empty right now because I recently did it, but I've got my distilled water down here that I use for keeping my batteries up to date, okay? So how do you detect which one is bad? Well, when you're doing that maintenance, take all your caps off because you're going to be checking all of the water levels anyway. And then you're going to use a hydrometer. Okay, they have different types of hydrometers. I'm not seeing my other one right now, but here's a little one right here. Okay, so this one works with these little colored balls inside of it, and it's got a little tube to go on the end of it. And what you do is you suck up the electrolyte into this thing, and you take a reading on it. And it'll tell you when it is bad, okay? Because it reads the specific gravity in the system. So if you have a battery that has 2 good cells and 1 bad cells, that's your bad battery, right? So you're going to want to, as quickly as possible, end up taking that one out of the battery bank. Because the way batteries work is that batteries will, the weaker battery in the group will draw the others down to its level. So you don't want a weak battery in your battery bank. One other important thing before I close this video off, air gaps between your batteries. Make sure you don't put your batteries tight together. Okay, you want air gaps in between. Because the batteries will get warm. These are all nice and cool. But they will get warm when they're taking a massive charge, a very quick charge. So you want to have airflow around the battery so that one battery doesn't help heat up the other. And if you do that, you're going to start boiling your battery, and you're going to start gassing the batteries, and that's when you have problems. Now you can see there's been some gassing going on here by the shine on the tops of these, and these will get cleaned off on my next maintenance. Because I just did the last maintenance on these just last month. So I will wait until the end of, the middle to the end of March, and I'll be doing the maintenance on these again. All right, so you notice how nice and clean these batteries are. I keep them fairly clean, but you can see some moisture on there. That means that they've been gassing, and that's because they've been having high winds, producing a lot of electricity, and having clear days while the high winds are out there. So I've got plenty of electricity coming in from the panels and the PMA, and it was more than what I was needing, so some of the batteries got a little overheated. My midnight protects from that, but I'm not sure if the Rover does or not. I'm new to the Rover, but I love these controllers. Don't waste your money on cheapo controllers. Get yourself really good controllers. It makes a difference, and you're just going to waste your money on those because you'll end up taking them out and going to something like this later anyway. So use the money that you would have spent on those cheap ones and go straight to the good ones. All right, that's about all I have for this episode. I'm going to call this a day and go in and have a glass of sangria on the rocks. I love that. And you know, some people think sangria is just squeezed grapes. It's not. Sangria actually has fruit juices mixed in with it. And there's a lot of different sangrias out there. Every company makes a different one. And a little bit different on what they use in it, which fruits they use in it. So make sure you get yourself a good sangria and try it on the rocks. I started that a while back and I love it, and I've brought that, my neighbors up the road, I taught them about that. They love it, and a lot of people I know are starting to go for the sangria on the rocks. I have a feeling that the bars will start selling it. All right, everybody, that's all I have for today. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up down there. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. You can share this with other people. You click on share, and you can share it in different ways. Do all that stuff for me, please. And I'm still waiting for the contact to send my products that I'm going to be testing and doing videos on, and we'll get that going pretty soon too. This is G Bear, thanking you for joining me and signing off.